right, welcome. We're going to call our workshop to order. Declaration of a quorum, 7 members present. Welcome, everybody. Item C, hearing of citizens. We have none tonight. Brings us to item D1, consideration, discussion, and possible action related to setting a date for training and evaluating and improving student outcomes as required by SB 1566. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. It is in the agenda language as required by Senate Bill 1566. Every 2 years, a team of 8 has to go through ISO training. The last time we did this was August of 20. So it is time for us to get that scheduled again. We did have a doodle poll and last week's transmittal. There were 5 different dates available for the board to consider. The one of those that did fill out the doodle poll appears as though Tuesday, November 1st. Yes, Dr. Payne was one of those. So he would like to be acknowledged for that. But the one that seemed most acceptable to those that were able to respond was Tuesday, November 1st. We typically do those, correct? Tuesday, November 1st. Okay. We typically do those 5 to 8. I don't know that it will take us the full 3 hours. I'm thinking more 2.5 when we do this particular training. So I'm going straight to Tuesday, November 1st. Does that work for everyone, even the couple that were not able to give us feedback? Tuesday, November 1st, 5 p.m. You capture that in the minutes, Ms. Horn? Very good. If you'll mark your calendars, ISO training Tuesday, November 1st. So the October board meeting when Ms. Horn reads, our hours will be lacking in that as a group, but she'll be able to acknowledge the fact that we are scheduled up to take care of that on November 1st. Very good. Excellent. There we go, Mr. Horak.
All right, that'll bring us to item D2, consideration, discussion, and possible action related to setting a date for the next management oversight workshop to discuss the district system for construction. Mr. Martindale.
We'll continue, keep your calendars out. As per local policy BAA, we do have systems oversight management workshops. We do one in the fall, one in the spring. We need to schedule the one for construction management, facilities management. There were, again, 4 different dates available for the group to respond to for this one. We typically do management oversight 11 to 1 during the course of the day, and we set aside 2 hours. The one that I saw that was most feasible for the group, I think, Kimberly, you had a maybe on this one, was Monday, November 7th, 11 to 1 p.m. Is that possible for the group? Okay, so we will have our construction management oversight. I'm looking at Mr. Hall too, because you're a key player in that. Monday, November 7th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in the boardroom. Good deal. The doodle poll helps us tremendously on these, doesn't it? Okay, very good.
Very good.
Thank you.
That'll bring us to item D3, consideration and discussion regarding proposed revisions to board policies FNCE local and CH local. Mr. Martindale.
Very good. Dr. Perry and as well as Ms. Strauss are going to talk us through each of these particular policy updates fairly quickly. We'll start with Dr. Perry, policy FNC local. This is a second reading. She reviewed this in more detail last month. It is on the regular agenda for approval this evening. This is pertaining to tracking devices and their listening in capabilities. After Molly kind of leads us back through that one and fields any particular questions, Ms. Strauss will talk to us about CH local. We're doing this one a little bit different. This is first reading and second reading because we're looking for approval this evening. It's time sensitive. It has to do with some purchasing, in particular the use of federal funds and purchasing and placing the cap on that. We'll really be looking to apply the same policy for purchasing we use for local funds to federal funds, and that's really what this one is. So we'll let Amy explain that as well. So Dr. Perry, if you want to start with FNC local, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martindale, Mr. Horak, members of the board. As Mr. Martindale summarized, we do have the two policies for discussion this evening. You do have a copy at your place if you'd like to reference what those additions are. These are both local policies that are already in existence. We're looking to add some additional text, which you'll find in the blue line version. So we'll begin with FNCE. You'll notice this is specific to student tracking safety devices. So these are not cell phones. These are devices specifically designed to track individuals, especially when we have concerns regarding safety, if there are cognitive disabilities, elopement behaviors that may be of concern. We've had a number of requests over the last several years, as we discussed last month, from parents of those children who wanted to just really ensure that they could wear that device while they were at school. And this provides some really clear parameters around the process to make that request, and the agreement that the listen-in aspect would be turned off while on campus so that we can protect the privacy of the other children in the classroom. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions you have about FNCE before we move to CH. All right, thank you.
Thank you. So for the second policy is CH Local Purchasing and Acquisition. And as mentioned, we normally do 2 readings, preliminary. We knew about this opportunity, but it was like October 16th when they said, in order to take advantage, you need to update a policy. So we weren't aware of that. So I appreciate you considering just 1 reading on this because we have an October 1 deadline. But policy CH Local, we have a $50,000 limit on purchasing that's on a category for a year before all of the procurement requirements come into play. For federal funds, they call that a micro purchase limit or threshold, and that is $10,000. But with this policy and some certifications, we can apply that same limit of $50,000 for federal funds. So that gives us that higher limits consistent with general funds, so it's a lot easier on staff to remember. But it also gives us a much shorter time for order and deliveries. So we're asking for your approval later tonight on this policy, CH Local. We certainly still get quotes, but we don't have to go to a purchasing cooperative. We can expand outside of that if it's below that $50,000 threshold. So it does open it up a little bit. And I'll entertain any questions.
So this would be the practice that we utilize with local funds, and we're just simply applying that, or we're asking to apply that to the federal threshold as well.
Yes, the
correct?
federal funds
Okay.
would have the same purchasing requirements as local.
Was this run by TASB like we usually do? Or?
It was actually, and we asked, because we were asking about our TASB update because it didn't have it in there, and they said, oh, you have to request it. So we did request it, and they're the ones that gave us that sample language.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, I feel like I should ask you all a question, but I'll just let it go.
We're that good.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, that'll bring us to item D4, receive an update on projects related to the 2021 bond. Mr. Martindale.
Here to give us an update on all things accomplished through the course of this summer and future projects associated with the bond funds from November of 21. We have our Executive Director of Facilities, Mr. John Hall, and I know Ms. Strauss, our Chief Financial Officer, will be joining him at the table as well. So we're looking forward to the update on the things that have been done and what lies on the road before us.
Okay. Sorry, I was looking for a keyboard and I only have the mouse to take, so hopefully this works. I'm not sure. Okay, there we go. So a few things we're going to go over. The last time we were here updating you, the last time we were here updating you was in March. So we want to make sure you know what all activities took place this summer. So we'll briefly go over some of those and then the projects that are upcoming for this next year. Remind you, the bond was called for the 2021 on July 20th of last summer, July 2021. Election day was on November 2nd of 2021, and our voters passed 3 of 4 propositions for $78,125,000. So in January of 2022, we began purchasing really very quickly. Through March, the last update that you gave, that's just a listing. Those are the same items that we reported to you last time. You can see all in that first section, those were purchases. They were all received, and everything in that first section was either complete or what we call substantially complete. The interactive display boards are received, but we have about 50% of those have been installed. And buses were ordered, but they are still not received. We should have gotten them in July or August. We're now being told November. So we're a little delayed on that. So April through August, I'm not going to go through those, but those are some of the major items that were purchased throughout the summer. Some of those have been received, but for the most part, they are ordered and in progress. But please know that's not a complete list. There's been several HVAC items and smaller things purchased. So just kind of give you an idea of what we've done the past over the past summer. And then to kind of let you know what we've spent to date in the dollar amount. So you can look at the general proposition of $70,630,000. Of that, we've got $56.7 million left. So the expended it's been received and we've either paid for it or it's scheduled to be paid, and committed is an outstanding purchase order. So we've got $5.3 million still committed. The technology and personal devices, out of $4,525,000, we still have $1,378,000 left. The natatorium, just getting started on that, $2,970,000, and the boiler that was ordered and it has been installed in August was $165,047, so $2.8 million, and Mr. Hall will be going over the next steps with that one. So of $78,125,000, we have just shy of $61 million left, so we've been very busy. We've been spending a lot of money. I'm sorry, it's very sensitive. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hall.
So we've got work going on all over the school district. I'm going to kind of chop through some of these campus by campus and then pick up some miscellaneous stuff as well. We're going to start off with Southwood Valley Elementary, Phase 1. Ooh, that is sensitive. Like driving a Ferrari or something. Okay. Okay, so Phase 1 was a project that we did this past summer of 2022. It is substantially complete as of August. We finished that up. It was, generally speaking, it was a relocation of the principal's office suite up to the front of the building. Also a relocation of some of the kindergarten classrooms and breakout rooms, and we did a new exterior to the front. We made those round windows go away and changed them to some square windows. So. This is a floor plan. If you see the blue section on the left, that's the old kindergarten wing. Basically, that's the footprint of what we accomplished this past summer. This is one photo we took just a few days ago of the interior. I think you might remember a little while back we were showing you artist renderings of these. Turned out looking pretty well identical to what we expected. Nice, clean-looking foyer there. That's looking across towards the principal's office suite with the security vestibule just on the left. Wow. Golly. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that's our exterior elevation. That's where we had those round reinforced concrete pipe windows that went back to the 80s. Quite a bit of work to get all of that tore out and rebuilt, and now, of course, that's principal's office suite all the way down there, and fit office is a whole lot better, not having that giant concrete round window in the middle of them. But turned out really well. You can see up at the top, we still have a little bit of work to go on our roofing project, but that's separate from bond work. So what we're going to be doing this coming summer of 2023 is phase 2. We've already got that out on the street for contractors. We've had our pre-construction conference just a couple of days ago. And really that's going to continue through the rest of the building for replacing finishes like carpet, hard flooring, paint. In that respect, it's going to be pretty standard to a lot of things we're doing across the district. What's different on this phase is we will be doing kind of a pretty significant renovation of our library space over there, as well as our cafeteria layout over there. If you can picture that walking into it, that very lowest level will disappear. We're going to fill that in. It's going to be 2 levels instead of 3, which will be a little easier access for the stage. This is our footprint for phase 2 that we're looking at right now. The outlined in blue area, which is basically about 2/3 of the building, is what we're going to be picking up this round. And Ali DeLuna is going to be nice enough to let us sneak into that library about March. So that's going to get us a nice little jump start in that, assuming we can juggle everything out. This is a picture of what the library is going to look like. You can see our logo above the librarian's desk circulation area there. So it's going to lighten up that area. If y'all recall, it's kind of dark in there, but it's going to be a good looking library with some more natural light dropped into it and everything. So we're excited about that. So shifting gears over to next projects we're working on would be related to safety improvements. Phase 1, they were about 95% on the drawings. It hasn't hit the street yet. We're still tweaking a few things, but that's for our security vestibule hardening for our elementary and intermediate campuses. And the reason we're doing our elementary and intermediates first is because they don't currently have a school resource deputy assigned to those campuses. So we're going to be bringing that to the trustees for approval in November. And we'll get off and running on that shortly thereafter. We're hoping to be able to catch most of this during the school year, weekends, Christmas break, Thanksgiving break, maybe spring break, some of that stuff. So hopefully we'll have the majority of this knocked out before the summer even gets here. But in the summer of 23, we're planning on picking up phase 2 at that time, which would pick up our remaining campuses for high school and middle school. And some of the same things that we're doing for our security vestibules, we'll be doing those same things at the high school and middle school campuses. Also related to safety will be some miscellaneous other projects. We will be picking up some fencing at Pecan Trail and in Cypress Grove Intermediate Schools, a few little small pieces of fencing at a few other campuses. Also, we'll be picking up some bollards. Those are the big pipes full of concrete that are buried into sidewalks for prevention of what safety people will call vehicle incursion. Basically, what that means is keep a vehicle from being able to drive over the sidewalk and right into the inside of a building through a glass wall or storefront. And one safety improvement project we've already accomplished is over at Rock Prairie Elementary School. We did our fire alarm replacement over there through the summer, and works a whole lot better now. Shifting gears over to A&M Consolidated High School, this is actually the largest renovation project in total. We're breaking that up into at least 4 phases. We're hoping we can get all squeezed into 4 phases. In this past summer of 22, we did the first phase. I'll tell you about just a little bit on the next slide or two. But once again, the focus is refreshing our interior finishes, such as carpet, hard flooring, paint, restrooms, doors, cabinets, all of the stuff that you would expect to see. And not only for the classrooms, but also for the big public areas, corridors, stuff like that. And overall, we're picking up some of the fine arts areas, of course, too, including the auditorium. And we'll be going through the science lab upgrades and working with Amanda Gibson on that to get all of those improved and up to code. So breaking those up into phases just a little bit, we accomplished our first phase. Coming off of a November bond, you don't have a whole lot of time to plan for the following summer. So we were able to catch our restroom renovations for about half of the restrooms in the main campus building. Turned out very well. Got that finished up before school started. And as a related note that was not in phase 1, but similar to it, is over at the cafetorium, we're going to be doing a storefront to secure and separate athletics during events. So when we have big ball games and stuff, we've had people kind of walk down the hallway and through the cafeteria and kind of wander through the building. So we're going to close that off so that that doesn't happen anymore. And installation is scheduled for that next month in October. I just dropped in a quick photo of a typical restroom. You can see it's well improved from what it used to be. Got new tile, ceiling height. Kind of went with a neutral color palette there, but turned out looking really, really nice in there. Phase 2 that we started our planning on last week with Gwen Elder on September 14th, we'll be tackling basically the southern half of the building. We're going to be doing interior finishes like I mentioned before, but we're also going to be picking up some LED lighting. And for this particular campus, we're going to work in our security vestibule upgrades along with some required work over at the principal's office suite. We're going to have to tear out a few walls, rework a few doors over there to make that security vestibule operate the way we'd like to. We're also going to be picking up the auditorium upgrades this summer, working with Eric Eakes on some stuff related to that already. Science wing classrooms and labs, of course, we're going to be catching those as well. And of course, all of the large public corridors that connect all of these areas as well, like that main foyer when you first get into the building with the big logos on the walls. We'll be catching all of that. So now this is a lot of scope for a single summer. What we're going to try to do is squeeze in the band, choir, and orchestra rooms too, if we can, depending on how much work we feel like we can squeeze out in 9 weeks. Tell you what, after this last summer, that 9 weeks goes by pretty quickly too. I did drop in a couple of images so you can kind of see it visually where we're talking about. And just to get your bearings on the bottom right there, there we go. That's the front entry where the office area is. So if you come through there, it's going to be basically that whole area to the left of the building, all the way through and including the auditorium. So that's the first level. And of course, right on top of that, on the second level, we'll be kitchen as well. It's not quite as big a footprint. So as we go on through the next couple of years at A&M Consolidated High School, we'll be looking at phases 3 and 4 over the following 2 summers of 24 and 25. We'll be catching in 24 the cafeteria dining area over there. We're still talking about whether or not to remove the pit and make that one big level or not. Gwen is getting some good feedback from alumni and students about that, so we'll see how that plays out. And then phase 4 will kind of be a mop-up summer for anything we weren't able to catch because of time. Now, also related to this that we're going to be picking up pieces of through all of these is fire sprinkler system components, where we're going to be picking up some of those in the summer of 23, but also on the outside of the building, around the parking lot areas, we're going to be picking up some exterior LED lighting as well. So shifting gears to the next campus, we're going to be catching Pebble Creek Elementary for a significant renovations project over there, picking up all the typical stuff with interior items. But also we're going to go in, if you recall, a couple years back, we built a new security vestibule and a new principal's office suite up at the front of that building. So we're going to be going back in there and capturing that old existing principal's office suite and kind of converting that to some breakout rooms, conference rooms, some stuff like that that Blair Grandi told me that she needs a lot. So we're going to work that out. We had our first meeting with Blair on September 14th last week, and confirmed kind of the scope that we're looking at for that and some conceptual concepts. And once again, we're going to have all of that put together and so that we can do the construction over the summer of 23. The campus following that will be Cypress Grove Intermediate. We're going to be doing the same type stuff on that only 1 year later. So we'll be doing our design meetings, sit down with our principal over there, Piper, about this time next year. And we'll be planning for construction during the summer of 2024 for that campus. Piper's ready to start it right now, but we're going to have to hold her off, I think, for just a little while longer. Okay, now we're going to talk about Career and Technical Education Center just a little bit. That's a fancy term for the Ag Barn. We're going to be putting that Ag Barn out on that 90-acre fry tract out on South Dowling Road. The first phase of this will primarily be designed for animal housing, We do have a small show arena and some office, restroom, and concession space over there. We are master planning the entire site over there, so we're planning on where subsequent phases would go, subsequent programs would go. And a little bit later on tonight, I'll be pitching the construction manager at risk that we made the selection for. So that'll be in the regular meeting tonight. We will be scheduled to commence construction in either the late fall of 22 or the early spring of 23. We're going to try to get it started by December if we can, but it might spill over to about January. And once again, just as a reminder, the phase 2 would likely be part of a future bond program. We're not going to be able to fund that right now, but our master planning tells us that's going to be more like a new building or classrooms, labs, and the nice indoor show arena that we've been talking about. Dropped in just one little quick site plan. This is actually where the building sits back on the site a little bit, but the dark footprint that you see, that's the building itself with the wings coming out on either end. Being for the animals, we've got the cattle on the right side and the pigs and the sheep and the goats on the left side, and we've got this master planned out so that one long run would be one high school, and then the next long run would be the next high school, which we've got 2 of them right now, and we've left ourselves a little growth for the 3rd one eventually. And of course, you can kind of see we've got a drive that goes all the way around the side of it. Had lots of rich discussions with Kevin Ross about all the stuff we're going to try to work into this program. Looks like it's going to be a really good program. Here's what the front entry point. Let me go back. If at the top of it and you're looking right there at the main entry, that's what we've got artist rendering of right here. May not be the exact colors of the paint, but basically this is going to be the shape of it, and it's going to be very similar to what it looks like on the front there. So it's going to be a good looking building. So chasing a couple of other CTE projects, we do have some metal canopies and fencing at both comprehensive high schools. We started that in the summer of 22, and we were just now finishing. So we were a little bit into the school year, but we've got those buttoned up. I've got a picture of those on the next slide, I think. But some other things we're chasing are classroom upgrades over at Consol High School. We're going to be doing some stuff with culinary arts, so we're going to try to work this in to the summer of 23 along with our Consol High School Phase 2. We're going to try to work all of that in together. Also, the areas behind both of our comprehensive high schools, the CTE areas, we're still going through with Mr. Ross and our teachers on those campuses, and we're master planning the layouts and the construction of various components over there. So we've got a lot of pieces and parts we're still kind of puzzling together right now, but we've kind of got the anchor of our metal canopies and fence work to kind of start us off. Here's a photo of our 2 campuses. The one on the left there is Consolidated High School. We actually, you can see just a little bit there of the fence work that we got in there. We just finished that, I think yesterday, got the last of the gates in there. So that captures the whole Kate area back there in the old greenhouse area and everything. So, and then on the right, you've got College Station High School. You can kind of see the back where it rises up. That's kind of where the auditorium is in the back of the building. Well, this section down at the bottom with those yellow small bollards, that's the canopy that we brought out for there. So both of those projects turned out really well. Dudley Construction did those for us, local firm. So some miscellaneous other bond projects we're working on across the district. One, of course, had its own proposition was the natatorium. We did just complete our boiler replacement over there last month. But what we're ready to start our design work on now is the rest of the whole pool room and some of the offices and locker rooms and stuff like that. We're going to be replacing the tile and the paint and the plaster in those areas. We do have a couple of pieces of structural steel that are kind of corroded, probably all that chlorine in the water. And there's worked on it a little bit. So we've got some structural steel rework in there as well. But this work is going to be commencing if we can get all of this put together, like I think we can, in April of 23 for completion in early fall of 23. And this is what we've coordinated with our swim team to make sure that we're minimizing the pain for taking their pool for a little while. And they're going to be having to juggle out to another location for their practices for a little while. And I just did want to make a note too, that our transportation parking extension kind of falls into the construction world for me just a little bit. We bid that out and it was a little more expensive than we anticipated. So right now that's currently on hold because of that. And we have a higher need for buses than we do for concrete to park them on right now. But we're hoping by the end of the bond package, we can sneak in there and get some concrete to help Hector out for some bus parking over there. And with that, I'll open it for questions and comments for anyone.
I had the privilege of getting an official tour of Southwood Valley last week, and it looks really good, really, really good. I mean, I'm always amazed at what they're able to do with those older buildings, rework the space and make it smarter. And then Allie was telling me, you know, in the future, some other stuff, and it looks great. Way to revamp an old school. Yeah.
Thank you.
If you stand in the hallway and look one way, you're looking back into the
Right.
1980s. If you turn and look this way, you're looking present day.
Yeah, there is a hard stop.
Yeah.
Looks great when you look to the left there.
Yes,
So,
yes, it does.
We haven't got our tour yet, but apparently the bathrooms at Consol are wonderful, and we are literally supposed to get a tour Thursday at our PTO meeting, so they're proud of them, they look good, so that's good,
Knock first.
Thank you.
yes. But thank you for everything, so busy, so much already done, but man, lots of 2023 in all of the plans, lots going on in this really next year, it looks
It's
like.
making me a little nervous, but I think we can pull it off.
Yeah, it's a lot. And obviously, you have to do all this new construction while you're still you got the maintenance side of your thing too, right? So I know probably some of the same people that, or are they sharing roles, or do you kind of split up the roles of the new construction and the maintenance folks? How do you handle it all, I guess?
Well, I'll give you a whole lot more information in our construction board management oversight workshop. But just generally, it's me and Renee Ramirez, my sidekick, right behind me there. We juggle out the maintenance and all of the construction and grounds and a lot of other things too. But Renee carries a heavy load on the construction piece for sure. So he did the majority of this stuff over the summer, and should have mentioned it. Thanks, Renee. Appreciate your help. So,
Yes.
And John, with it at Consol swim team, you alluded to it with Tiger Swim. I'm thinking Consol, those are pretty sizable renovations through the course of the summer. And I know you're planning with the principal, and we'll have conversations across the realm of fine arts and athletics as well, because I know there'll be implications with our access to the building and those types of things through the course of the summer as we do some of that work. Correct?
That's exactly right. In fact, the fire sprinkler work that we would like to accomplish in summer of '23 may push us out of the building completely for a little while we've got all of our fire sprinkler systems and related fire alarm systems down. So we're already coordinating with College Station Fire Department, see if they can give us a little breathing room on some stuff, or whether we can kind of juggle that out in such a manner that it's not so painful, especially in the month of June. Maybe we can hold off on that until July. And not impact our programs quite so much, but we're juggling out all the options right now. We haven't landed on them yet, but we're working all the angles in the background right now.
Good. We're having conversation and planning accordingly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, for sure.
Yeah, the natatorium's a good point. That's one, there really isn't a backup location as much.
Right, but I know they've been talking to Jenny quite a bit to try to see what the most feasible timeline is for both groups. So when we were discussing Consol earlier, I began to think of camps and summer programs and those types of things. So lots of logistics for a good reason, though. So just the communication line has to be solid to make sure we are planned out accordingly. So, and I know that's occurring behind the scenes. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and for the swim program, they said their season basically ends up in about March, so that's why we've tackled it up for an April start on the construction to jump right in there and get it going.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you all very much. That brings us to item D5, consideration and discussion regarding grades K through 12 accelerated instruction provided during summer 2022. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak and board members. We have our Executive Directors of Elementary and Secondary Education, Dr. Hickman and Ms. Parkinson, going to lead us through this presentation and share with us the multitude of different instructional opportunities and supports provided or offered to our students through the course of the summer. So with that, I believe Dr. Hickman is kicking things off in this presentation.
Yes, sir. All right.
The mouse is sensitive, by the way, if you didn't already.
Well, that is okay. All right, good evening, Mr. Horak and Mr. Martindale, members of the board. Thank you for giving us just a few minutes of your time to share with you information about our summer programs for accelerated instruction for our students. We thought we'd start off with just a quick overview of some of the summer programs that are offered from the district. There are tuition-based summer programs, such as the Elementary Enrichment Program. It's been around for a really long time. It's where our elementary students can go and take fun classes in art and cooking and lots of different really interesting to them, their own personal interest items, as well as some also reading and math. And there's quite a variety of things that students can do in elementary enrichment. Middle school and high school summer school have also been a part of our summer plan for quite some time. All three of these programs are tuition-based, and so parents pay for their children to attend these programs. We also wanted to mention that there are a couple of special programs that happen during summer, such as Extended School Year, which serves our students in special education, and the ESL Summer School. The focus of our report tonight is really going to be about accelerated instruction that has happened the last 2 summers, more specifically here in College Station. Some important things to note about this. It's not on the slide, but I want to start off with this is not required. This is something that we have chosen to do here in College Station because we have identified a need, and it's just one other attempt at us doing what we can to help students who may need a little bit of additional help to be successful with grade level expectations, to get a little bit more caught up toward that. So our accelerated instruction is provided at no charge to our students. It is available for students in kindergarten through their end of course exam, so up into high school. The main purpose really is just to support those struggling learners, those people who are needing just a little bit extra instruction to get closer to their grade level expectations. It also is worth mentioning here that this does fit in closely with Goal 2 from our strategic design about elevating academic outcomes for some of our historically underrepresented student groups. This allows us to provide intervention in a summer setting for any of our students who may actually need that additional help. Finally, our last bullet here is about meeting House Bill 4545 requirements. In our programs, students have an opportunity to earn the supplemental instruction hours required under House Bill 4545. So I want to talk about that a little bit more specifically. I know that you've heard of this before, but as a reminder, students who do not pass their STAR or end of course exam in grades 3 through 12 have to receive supplemental instruction 30 hours per subject that they failed on STAR or EOC. So if you think about that, a student who maybe in 3rd grade who took language arts and math STAR, if they were unsuccessful in both of those exams, we are now required to provide them with 60 hours of supplemental instruction. That instruction cannot take place during regular academic instruction. So it can't happen during the course of the regular school day when they would be learning in their core curriculum content areas. Of note, some of our campuses have worked out some strategic scheduling so that there is some time during the school day to provide this instruction, but overall, managing ways to provide these great number of hours that are needed in some cases has required us to get a little bit creative. One other note that I want to make here is that the House Bill 4545 requirement is that students are instructed either individually or in groups of no more than 3 students unless the parents sign a waiver that allows us to instruct them in a larger group. And so we're going to talk class sizes here in a few minutes. You'll see that many of our parents have allowed us that waiver so that we can then serve more students. One other note about accelerated instruction versus House Bill 4545, and something you'll see in the upcoming slides, is that for elementary, we provided accelerated instruction for students in kindergarten through fourth grade. So it wasn't just about House Bill 4545 requirements, it was for a wider range of students who needed that support. In secondary, that looks a little different. So you'll see some of that upcoming. As an overview to our elementary accelerated instruction program this summer, one of the things that we have to do with all of our summer programs, and specifically with elementary, is start planning early. So we need to know how many spots can we accommodate for students to come during the summer. This past summer, we had 375 total spots, and those were allocated out across our 10 elementary campuses, with 50 spots for our Title I campuses and 25 spots for our other campuses. At that point, then, the campuses recommended those students for accelerated instruction that they felt like it would be most appropriate. Summer school hours were 8 to 12 Monday through Friday for most of the month of June. Every student who attended received 2 hours of language arts instruction and 2 hours of math instruction every day. So when it comes to that House Bill 4545 tutoring, if we had a student who maybe only needed math for their House Bill 4545 hours, they also got 2 hours of language arts instruction each day as well. Identifying students for our program is interesting given our need to meet these House Bill 4545 requirements, because our STAR data did not come until quite late. So it was actually the end of June before we knew which students would need to receive these additional hours. So we used our end-of-year projection for STAR that comes out of our MAP data as one data point to be able to say, we predict that these students will likely need this instruction. And of course, we used teacher and principal referrals as well, because they are looking at multiple data points for which students would best be supported by the summer program. During elementary accelerated instruction, breakfast, lunch, a snack, and transportation were also all provided at no cost to our students. I want to point out one other thing about our House Bill 4545 instruction, and I want to say again here, those students who do not receive their House Bill 4545 instruction in the summer have to get it during the school year. So we wanted to strategize who could come based on getting ahead and getting them a bit of a jump start and having them an opportunity to get those hours earlier. However, there is that bit of, we were hindered a bit by not having really solid data on that. Continuing our overview, Heather Sherman was our coordinator for elementary. Class sizes ranged from 6 to 10 students. You can see some of our other stats there. We had 33 teachers and 268 students, and that led us to accomplishing 2,216 hours of credit for our House Bill 4545 kiddos. So those kids who ended up needing those hours. One other item of note here, the previous slide showed that we had 375 spots. 268 students came. Part of that is it's summer. It's a little bit more difficult to encourage people to come when we think, oh, we think you're gonna need these hours, as opposed to saying you absolutely need these hours. And so we had plenty of room for the kids who needed to come. I want to point that out, that we did not have kids who missed out on an opportunity because of space. We were able to provide that for elementary this year. This is just a quick overview of the students who attended. You can see by grade level, kindergarten through fourth grade, we were pretty well represented from each grade. Remember that each one of these students received 2 hours of language arts instruction and 2 hours of math instruction every day. This slide will connect us back to that House Bill 4545 requirement for our third and fourth graders. So allow me to orient you to it just a bit. So that first column is the total number of students throughout the district who did not meet standard on the STAR test. We have third grade math and reading and fourth grade math and reading. So each one of those numbers in the first column, the 169 students in the district who did not meet standard on third grade math, each have to get 30 hours of supplemental instruction in math. So it's quite a lot of hours. So then we move over to the second column, and this is the total number of those students who attended our summer accelerated instruction program. So for 29 of those students, we were able to go ahead and get started on those required hours that they have because we provided this program. So it was a great jump start for them on obtaining those hours. It gets better as you go to the next column because 18 of those students actually completed their 30 hours when we're talking about third grade math. So they've met the requirement under House Bill 4545, and they are in their regular school year this year receiving provided intervention as appropriate, but without that requirement still waiting to meet those hours. The final column there tells us that 9 of those students completed at least 20 hours. So they just have a few more to make up before they'll be finished. Again, I won't cover the whole chart with you. I won't read it all to you, but you can see that we had 21, 22, 14 students who came in and got started on those hours, which again, wouldn't be possible if we didn't provide them that opportunity in the summer.
So for perspective, Storm, we run 1,000, a little over 1,000 are grade level.
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Yeah, and since we're looking at those numbers real quickly, I mean, I know you were saying it was hard to target and make sure we could get everybody who needed to be there, but, you know, so of the 169 that needed to be there, only 29 came to summer school.
That's correct.
So-
I will say, we did not know the 169 number until summer school was over almost.
Right.
So we were using the data that we had to invite students, and also we all know like it's summer too. So we're looking at that from the perspective of what can we do to provide the opportunity, but we also know that families have other obligations and other things going on during the summer, and this is really provided as extra and above and beyond and bonus from the district perspective, as opposed to really making it an expectation that students come, especially when we did not have the data that we needed to be clear about that.
So, I mean, my comment is obviously it's great that we had all these many kids who did, but
Sure.
we seem to be missing, of course, a lot of the ones that really needed to be there.
Certainly going forward, this is only the second year that we've done this program here in College Station. And so certainly going forward, that will be a goal that we have, is to continue to reach more students who can come and receive that supplemental instruction in the summer. It would be really helpful if we could say to
start.
parents, your child's going to have to get these 30 hours in the summer or in the school year. And so if they could come in the summer and let us get a jump start on that, that'd be really great.
If you could get the
Well, and
data in time.
I think that was a big part of it, was HB 4545 was so new that, I mean, it's the education to the parents to understand what the requirement is now.
Right.
And then the district just scrambling to figure it out to provide the opportunity.
Right.
And that's all we can do is provide the opportunity and then identify as best we can, considering STAR came out as late as it did.
And it's a different, as Stormy kind of alluded to, it's a different conversation when the state has not provided us the results at that marker. So that makes it a little bit more of a challenge to convince. So again, the opportunity in getting some of these kiddos going in advance is a positive. Can we build capacity? Yes. Getting data earlier from the state, we don't control, but if we did, I think that would help us. That would be a natural piece of increasing participation.
I think it's a great point too about educating parents, because this is new for them, that students may need those additional supplemental instruction hours. And so continuing to do that as we live a little longer with House Bill 4545 should make a difference as well.
Pass it gently and see.
If you click, it works okay.
Okay. Okay, we will now transition to the secondary world, which, as Dr. Hickman alluded to earlier, was very much focused on STAR performance, in this particular nature, inviting students based on those MAP projected STAR scores, which we had found from the previous school year were very, very close, very accurate. So we were very focused on refining our first iteration from the summer of 2021 to expand opportunities for students in order to meet those requirements of House Bill 4545. So this program did not begin until that second week of June, primarily because we were trying to give the state as much abundant opportunity as possible to provide scores to us in time, because as we visited with families based on predictions, they did want that confirmation from the official STAR result. And so we pushed our secondary summer program for intermediate and middle just back 1 week to have that week buffer between school and our program beginning. This was a Monday through Thursday program. We have found with secondary students that having Fridays to go do your summer activities is a great enticement and affects our enrollment. And because we were really striving to provide an opportunity for students to who needed both math and English language arts hours to get their full 30, provided they came every day and took us up on that opportunity, we ran an extended day from 8:30 to 2. Students who only needed one test area really focused in on it in the morning, and then others who needed both tests were able to reach that 60-hour total goal through having 2 sessions per day. I also want to say that it's a really fun environment to come to our summer programs. They have recess, there are snack times, they are incentivized with different tickets and prizes. So while we are meeting that mandate, it is a good learning environment for our kids. It is a happy place to be, and we see a lot of learning and growth there. So not to ponder things too long, I will say that we watched very actively through intermediate and middle. The STAR scores rolled in on a student-by-student basis all through the course of June. So we didn't have our full data file until June 20th, but we had highly interested and motivated parents, and we checked frequently on individual students to see if their scores had appeared yet for us with Cambium. So we had students join in week 2, and if they were willing to come, the enrollment ebbed and flowed just a little bit through intermediate and middle programs specifically. Once again, we were also able to provide breakfast, lunch, snack, and transportation to those students who needed it. Our intermediate program coordinator is Lauren Guest. The class sizes ranged here from between 4 and 6. As the program progressed, we released teachers, and the class sizes changed. But I'd also like to reiterate too here that we took advantage not only of our certified teachers, but one of the positives of the accelerated instruction guidance that we receive related to 4545 is we can train other suitable tutors who can be part of the program. So we were able to hire some of our student teachers, some of those other folks who are great for kids but are not quite finished with certification and things like that as tutors. So in this program, we serve 234 students who earn 6,860 hours toward that required supplemental instruction. So this is the program participation overview. It does look a little bit different from elementary because it was customized depending on what they needed. And so in 5th grade, we served 126 total 5th graders, the majority of whom were there all day with us for from that 8:30 to 2 o'clock time slot. So 71 students needed both. We work our way back to the left, only 29 needed math and 28 reading. And you see a similar trend with our 6th graders, whereas most of our 108 6th graders who we served needed both tests, and then fewer needed math and reading and so forth only. Okay. So this slide, once again, is intended to show you the raw numbers, the individual students who do need this required accelerated instruction versus the number of students who embrace the opportunity in the summer to earn those hours. When you look at going across, we were able to have 41 of our 5th graders receive all 30 hours for their math, 43 for ELA in 5th grade, 6 for math. in sixth grade math, 31, sixth grade ELA, 51, and so forth. And so that's a significant number when you look at the total enrollment in that area who were able to actually get their full 30 hours. And then this last column, I labeled it as 20 plus, but technically it's 20 to 29, right? It's all the kids in that range in between. When you look at the difference between the totals, then you can infer the rest of the students accumulated some hours, but didn't quite get to that 20 threshold there. Okay. Our middle level program is very similar to the intermediate program. We also had the 2 sessions. We were once again focused on math and English language arts only. I also feel like I need to take the opportunity to point out that there are science and social studies tests at different levels between that 5 through 8 grade span, but we focus our capacity on these 2 areas and our resources and our time in the summer on math and ELA are only. The middle school program coordinator was Jill Emmons, and you'll notice a broader range of class sizes, and that once again came from the ebb and flow of students coming in and out, and also from us serving students through our special programs who had different needs where they needed a different class size as well. And this program had 26 teachers with 4 paraprofessionals supporting them and served a total of 127 students for 2,880 hours total of accelerated instruction. And so this is once again the program participation overview slide that I've oriented you to with intermediate. So I'll give you a moment to take a look at it, but I won't read it to you. Okay. And then we have that represented as far as the total number of students in need of the accelerated instruction versus how many chose to take us up on our opportunity to attend this summer, those who earned their full 30 hours, and then those in the 20 to 29 hour range as well. Okay. All right. Another thing that changed with the addition of House Bill 4545. Previously, prior to, was it in 2021, we went ahead and made a change that actually was positive for us through 5 through 8. The Student Success Initiative only required summer programming, accelerated instruction being offered to grades 5 and 8. Before we had the 45 requirements, we made those changes to our summer program to include students from grades 5 through 8 last summer, and it was a very positive experience for us. Then we had our 45 requirements added, and of course we're going to continue that. But these students at grades 5 through 8 do not have an opportunity for a summer retest, but you'll see it's a little bit different once we get to high school here in the next few slides. So I'm going to point out that difference. All right. With our high school program, we are looking at all 5 end-of-course exam areas, which are English 1, English 2, Algebra 1, U.S. History, and Biology 1. We learned last summer that including a credit recovery component for those students who need both, the credit for the course and also the accelerated instruction for their STAR test was a good pairing. So you'll notice on some of the slides, you'll see English 3. Those are some of our students who were in English 3 still taking STAR EOC retests, who also still needed credit. This program was offered in the afternoons after the tuition-based summer school programs because we did have some students who did need both courses. So we offered this from 1 to 4:30. This was our first summer where we held these programs at each of our 2 comprehensive high schools. And they were 8-day, very intensive programs focused on one subject where we worked it out to be able to get up to that almost 30 hours, to that 28-hour threshold before the week of June 20th, which is when the summer STAR EOC retests are given. I'd also like to point out that the end of course exam scores are the only ones where we did get the preliminary data file at the end of May. And so we did have the preliminary data file from those students at that time. Okay. Once again, students were provided lunch. They had snacks and transportation provided. We were able to take students from the tuition-based program at College View over to their home campuses to make sure they were able to participate in both programs as well. Okay. All right. Our program coordinators, since we were at each of the comprehensive high schools, were Ann Scott at Consol and Matt Pekar over at CSHS. Teenagers are unpredictable, so you see a nice wide range of class sizes from 10 to 20 because they welcomed everybody on the day that they showed up. And so class sizes ebbed and flowed a little bit based on the students and their willingness to attend in the summer. They had 27 teachers between each of the two campuses. We had 409 students total come participate in this summer opportunity, which is a huge increase from years past. And they were able to earn 8,022 hours of supplemental instruction through that program. So this is once again that holistic view of the number of students served and which course they were associated with to get to our total of 409 there. And then this slide shows you the number of students who were able to earn credits by semester for their work through that summer program. And so I think that that is one of the key reasons why we saw such an increase in program participation, is that really is an enticement for a high school student to be able to recover credit while also getting that accelerated instruction that they need. Okay. So that was 163 half credits earned. And so when we look at the high school lens on the number of students who were able to earn hours, there are a couple of different changes because of the differences in high school. So in this column with the total number of accelerated instruction participants by subject, this is the total who came. And then in parentheses, this is the number of students in that subject area who attended accelerated instruction and then also came the week of June 20th and actually took their retest. And so one of the things we noticed in compiling the data is the great disparity between these two groups. We had kids who invested quite a bit of their summer and time in earning these accelerated instruction hours who then did not take that retest opportunity. So that will be an area of focus and growth for us for next year.
Tiffany, could that be, they could still earn the semester credit without retesting, correct?
Yes, sir, they could.
So, okay.
Yes, indeed, that is a good point. Also, you'll notice this first column, rather than reading as the complete 30 hours, is now labeled as that 20 plus hours. Most of these students are earning that 28 and were there the entire time, versus a next chunk, a next range within that 8-day program, the students who were able to get between 10 and 19 hours as well. Okay. I'd also like to point out that last year, we did not have any students participate in U.S. history at all. In this summer, we had 32. And so when we take a look at how that translated into the summer retest opportunity, I included this slide this way because when you look at the denominators here by which we're dividing over time, or, you know, we had such a huge increase in participation and enrollment during the summer that is a huge celebration. And then later on during the public hearing, we'll show you a little bit more detail about their growth in comparison to their students who did not attend and took retests and so forth as well. All right. So just in general, in closing, regarding all of our programs, kindergarten through the EOCs, we have been able to integrate some adaptable electronic programs that really support our individualized student learning. For elementary, that includes Education Galaxy and Liftoff and iRead. For intermediate and middle, they really leverage Study Island, specifically Exact Path, which is a more customizable piece under that same Edmentum program umbrella. And then at the high school level, we piloted 2 different things to see how they went. CSHS used the Study Island version. Consol used study.com. Both campuses were so pleased with each of their pilots that they're using it throughout the school year as well. So those are some strong resources that we tried out through the summer programs. As far as other curriculum resources, we have HMH intervention resources through elementary. We use Scholastic Lit Camp as well as Closing the Distance mathematics programs from Region 4 for the intermediate and middle programs. So students are receiving direct instruction, interaction with teacher in addition to those adaptable electronic programs that we have. And certainly the art of teaching is not lost in the summer program. Our teachers still you know, take that opportunity to put their own stamp on their craft and create their own resources through these programs as well. As far as our sources of funding, right now our summer accelerated instruction programs, as well as the programs we mentioned at the beginning, are funded through various routes. Right now we are relying heavily on our ESSER 3 allocation to be able to offer this opportunity to so many students in the summer. Additionally, we have allocated more of our state comp ed funding toward this end. We are able to use Title I funds, especially for our elementary students and on into intermediate just a little bit, because we do have a Title I intermediate school as well. And then Title III funds, particularly for our English language learners summer programs, we're able to leverage those. And then we still draw upon the general fund as well with some of our CNI budget funds, especially when we're talking about all those good snack purchases and all the supplies and things like that that we use during those programs as well. All right. Just to reiterate a few of the challenges, the timeliness of STAR data greatly impacts our ability to incentivize attendance for families who want to see that final, here is the printout, here are my child's scores. Program participation in the summer is difficult. Regardless, because of other conflicting obligations, trips, camps, all those different things as well. And then whenever you look at the total number of students who would be eligible and that we're trying to serve, we really try to design programs that that could handle the heavy load if the students would come and take advantage of that opportunity. And so I'm proud of what we had designed. I wish we had more students who were able to come participate and take that opportunity. Staffing, students, we rely heavily on our teachers through the school year to do so many things for us. And so we're seeing a decline in interest as far as participation in the summer programs as well. And certainly, just the time and it goes back timeliness and timing. That probably should have just been the three challenges we listed here, because everything ties back to that. And certainly we have a lot of needs and a lot of priorities as we help our students embrace their unique success through the summer. And House Bill 4545 is only one of them, right? We talked a little bit about our tuition-based programs. We do offer our own sports camps, kids club, all of these different things that are amazing. And so this is only one piece of the overarching summer programs that we have. We also have had some opportunities to pilot some pre and post assessment opportunities based on just that chunk of time. If students come, how can we hone in on their growth from the beginning to the end of that specific summer program? NWA MAP, while we could use that as an assessment, it would take up 2 days out of an already short summer program. And because it's outside of the broad testing windows, we wouldn't have the nationally normed data and so forth. So we did do some work this summer at intermediate and middle to try out building our own STAR-aligned assessments through Performance Matters to give those. And so for those pilot groups, it worked really well, and we're really pressing in on that with our students through the school year to be able to have another layer of data to really rally around and look at as we customize learning experiences for students. And we'd like to, of course, end on our success and our celebrations. While the onus is really behind accelerated instruction for House Bill 4545. It is important to us as a system to make sure that our early learners have these opportunities too. And so we're really proud that we have the opportunity to intervene for our youngest learners in kindergarten, first and second, before they even take a STAR test in our school district. Additionally, when you look at all those numbers we shared with you tonight in total, through our accelerated learning opportunities this summer, we served over 1,000 students. That's going to get me choked up. Y'all are going to make fun of me. And provided almost 20,000 hours of accelerated instruction to kids. So, with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
So the high school accelerated learning, has that always been later in the afternoon, or did y'all used to do it in the morning?
It's always been later in the afternoon, paired with the tuition-based program.
Okay. I was just wondering, because that also allows the tuition-based program to happen, but also those kiddos that aren't doing that, but maybe doing some of the sports camps or boot camp or whatever in the mornings as well.
Yes, ma'am. And I think that this is not what your question or comment was about, but you reminded me that I wanted to be sure to point out that that increase in attendance, we think also was directly aligned with them being able to go back to their home comprehensive high school campus in the summer and have those relationships with teachers and folks on staff who were giving them that call to get the students to come. And it also that convenience factor of if I'm at my camp in the morning, I can head
Right.
on over in the afternoon.
Right, makes it easy.
I'd imagine some kind of process if we are receiving students from another school district that fell into this category, that's transmitted between the ISDs?
It
need this?
is, but it is a cumbersome system, and it, yes. It
Okay, just part of the
requires a lot of
growing-
legwork and digging and finding and contacting, and there's not a streamlined way for us to share our number of hours with students, but we are, it's the new layer of the puzzle.
But I'm so excited we're doing this, obviously, huge endeavor to do. My questions are more on how can we, how's it going to be better next year? And then also on the funding side of it, how are we able to continue to, fund this? I mean, is the STAR data going to be available sooner? I mean, was this an anomaly? I know there were particular issues, but is the plan for it to be there before? I know you don't control it.
They transitioned to Cambian this past year, so there were
Right.
lots of issues from a data standpoint, we think due to them transitioning to a new vendor. So we would hope that improves moving into the second year of using Cambian. We don't control that, but
Do you have? So related to that, our testers who took their tests online, their scores did
moving
come
to
back
online.
earlier, and we are moving entirely
To online.
to online testing this spring. And so we are hopeful that will be a positive change as far as the turnaround time for us to be able to access scores.
I will say too, it's a little bit different from elementary to secondary with, and high school for sure to elementary with lead time for parents, right? Like you need to know ahead of time what your kids are going to need to do the first week of summer. And so we did not wait to see we started inviting kids in early May because we wanted families to be able to start making those plans. So as we plan forward into next summer, we will talk about some strategies we can have in the event that the data does not come back in a timely manner. We have had conversations about things like, should we push summer school to later in the summer? That would really impact attendance, I'm afraid, because parents are used to those types of things happening at the beginning of the summer. So we've already started some of that brainstorming about what we can do as sort of a plan B in the event that we're in the same boat next year.
I mean, obviously, I think those are all perfect discussions. I'm just kind of curious too on that, I only wrote down the one number of 169 third graders failed the math and we only got 29 of those in. I mean, some of it, how much of it was that we weren't able to target the right person because we didn't have the STAR data, and how much of it is just we're not getting them to come show up, the kids that were invited and asked to come?
Sure. I don't have that data here in front of me, but I do know that the campuses sent out the invitations and to parents to say, hey, we're recommending your child for summer school. We'd really like for them to come. And if parents declined that opportunity, they did then try to go to the next students on the list. So I feel like campuses made a valiant effort to try to get students here. But once again, it being a relatively new program, some increased understanding and communication with parents as far as educating them about it wouldn't hurt. So we will certainly look at that next summer.
Well, I'll say from the intermediate and middle school level, we cast a wide net. We invited everybody. The campuses did individually, and then I sent an additional invitation from my chair as well. Hi, we would love to have you in this program. We anticipate based on your NWA MAP score. And so I think that's a key piece of it. The number of folks who I visited with about the pros of going ahead and coming, even though we didn't have the STAR scores, were many. And I know that's a fraction as compared to the program coordinators and how many folks they talk to through that as well. And so I think that too, going back to what Mr. Horrock said, the longevity of the program as they see that, yes, the MAP scores really are aligning with STAR and we can't, this is valid and we can go. And we had already had some conversations about what Dr. Hickman said about changing our timing and looking at, do we need to have a couple of different sessions through the summer so there's more flexibility in what that could look like. So I foresee there being another iteration next summer and trying to get the most students possible that we can.
Do we anticipate HB 4545 changing again this year? I mean, have y'all heard anything? So,
There is a legislative session, so
right.
who knows?
who knows? Okay.
Could be House Bill 4546.
So when you're at TASB this week, you can find your TEA folks and tell them to get the star scores out quicker and let them know. And that's
how
all we
about-
can do as Board of Trustees is advocate for our district to, hey, y'all, this put us in a bind. So,
Well, and advocate also, so all this extra burden of hours that was put on our teachers and staff, where is some of the funding to help support that? Because your list of funding did not include any extra funding for the state to support House Bill 45, did it?
never
Correct.
mind.
And we're good through next summer with ESSER funds. And it's a number of things, and I have said this. I think the intent is purposeful. I think there's truly a positive intent. Where there tends to be a disconnect in some of those decisions is the logistics of applying it and how it actually making it work at the district level. That is where I tend to have the biggest issues or pause with directives from TEA. I think the intent is very good. The logistics of executing those things, I think sometimes are not, they don't give enough thought to.
Agreed. So just the last, kind of on the funding side of it, I mean, just percentage-wise, I mean, we only have ESSER funds for so long. How much of the funding for this summer came from ESSER? I mean, how much are we going to have to reach somewhere else in the future? And
So
we
Mrs.
wanna keep
Ross
this
is
up.
working with the business department to really parse through all the layers and the details of that. But I will just speak broadly and say the majority of our summer programs are paid for from ESSER 3 funds.
Right. So this needs to be funded.
that's scary.
All right. Thank y'all very much for all the hard work on that. That will adjourn us for the workshop. We'll see y'all at 6:40.